we can welcome them in as they arrive. A warm welcome to Create Development Workshop this afternoon. We've obviously been chatting to people. Rob has now pressed record, so if you wiggle your mouse, a little bit of housekeeping, you have got a video icon that if you prefer to have yourself off the screen, not recorded, then please do click on that to turn your camera off. And your microphone, there's a little symbol icon for that too. That would be great because that will prevent any feedback. In the main, it's an information giving workshop, but we will be doing some practical, and I know that we'll have real keen volunteers out there. So when we do some practical, please could you turn your camera back on, but we'll obviously remind people as we go. So Gill brilliantly opened the chat area for us. So please do ask any questions that you've got during the presentation through that chat function, and we'll answer those, or we'll make ourselves aware that actually that could be a really nice thing to chat amongst everybody and answer for everybody. So it'd be really useful, and we will ask for some comments, information from you as well. So if you could use that chat function, that would be brilliant. So to start us off, if you're able to put a Y or an N in the chat function for us so that we can get a feel of what experience of, if any, of real PE you've had before, please could you put a Y or an N in the chat bar? If yes, you or your setting has ever received real PE training before. It might even be a Y in my school now, but actually I've moved schools. So do elaborate on that answer for us. And that would be really useful for us to tailor the information we give you as we go along this afternoon. Okay, so today we're looking at using PE to support your recovery curriculum, and a conference is a really useful time to come and reflect on what you're doing, and certainly the messages from Sue Wilkinson and Sport England this morning were a huge thank you, because there's lots of amazing things that are going on, and the adaptations that we've all had to make as we hit the ground running since lockdown. Everyone's doing a super job and it's not easy. But a conference can also be a really good time to come and discuss and share ideas with people. And you may have come today with certain young people or staff in mind who perhaps you feel you're not quite meeting all their needs at the moment. Or as Sue Wilkinson said, can we give them even more support than we are at the moment? Do we need to give support in a slightly different way? So we hope today is going to be a really good reflection on what you're doing and what you're doing really well, but it's probably going to be quite thought-provoking, and we hope that it's a chance to either now or as you go away think about, what is my current PE model? Why am I doing it that way? What and how could I do differently to meet the needs of my staff and my young people? So my name's Kate Chaplin. I'm membership manager and tutor in Cornwall. I live in Cornwall and I'm really enjoying coming out and about and meeting everybody. I'm presenting with Sarah Moon, and Sarah is our North Southwest regional manager and senior tutor. And Gill's just been on the camera but disappeared. Gill's our regional director, and Gill is primarily this afternoon going to be in the chat area to answer any questions, and also raise our awareness, like we said, if it's something that would be useful for everybody to know. So we're really looking at keeping the E in physical education, the fact that it's even more important now than it's ever been before. So I'm sure that you can think about some of your young people during lockdown and coming back from lockdown. And as our colleague at Sport England was telling us today, the stark contrast in figures of activity and access that children have had. And I know that the teachers we were in contact with all through lockdown and since returning, and the schools we visited, staff have said it's a real mix. And some children might have accessed more physical activity in different ways. And a lot of children, sadly, have accessed less physical activity. And sometimes it's quite shocking in this area that we assume all children have a very outdoor active lifestyle, but that's not being accessed by all. So what is the education part of physical education? So if you could just flip forward, Sarah, that'd be brilliant. So, back one. Brilliant. So it's really important that Possibly some of our young people had an adult on a screen in front of them. They'd never met that adult. That adult certainly doesn't know the child. So physical education is all about it being a relevant and inclusive and challenging curriculum for children. And if we were on a screen, pre-recorded or otherwise, with a stranger doing activities in front of us, could we hand on heart say we're really meeting those areas of the curriculum? But we want to be able not only to equip our young people with physical skills, to choose any physical activity, participate and enjoy it now, but our young people don't know next week, 2 weeks time, month, 6 months, 10 years, what physical activities they will be enjoying or able to access. So let's equip our young people with a whole range of physical literacy skills that they could then go and choose any activity in the future. But also, as again, Sue Wilkinson and Sport England layered this morning, we know that young people can only have a really positive broad educational experience if their personal, social and emotional well-being is being met and being fully supported. So it's really important that PE is one of the only subject, perhaps, that can do all of that and support our young people. So we believe the Real PE approach is extremely well placed. It's not been changed. Pre-COVID, these were exactly our values and beliefs. But we know from talking to our teachers and staff coming back after lockdown that there are real gaps in children's personal and social skills in particular. And like was mentioned this morning, that one child household who's not had the opportunity to play with others, carry on their learning and social skills because they're in a household on their own, there are big gaps, and those children are finding it really challenging to come back, reconnect with their peers, and in some cases reconnect with the adults in their school life. So we have a very carefully scaffolded, progressive and personalised, layered learning journey that can help these children build these skills, and the children can take ownership and choice of how they go through those steps. We believe that, again, all the teachers always tell us that if the personal, social and emotional skills are not well supported, accessing learning in all other areas is going to be at worst impossible, at best really difficult. So if we can support all of those skills and we can give our teachers the resources to help the children learn, that would be brilliant. Real PE's always been simple. It's always been minimal equipment, non-specialist equipment, indoors or outdoors. Again, nothing has changed, but where we see ourselves having to adapt and change things for PE at this time, it's perfectly suited to that. And finally, through play, through social skills of learning together, sometimes it's individual activities, but the children are still collaborating, then we can give children through Real PE, real experiences of playing together and learning through lots of fun activities. And this morning, fun was one of the primary areas where children had still been accessing physical activity during lockdown. So how do we do this? Well, we work and train teachers through the Real PE approach, and we believe that the holistic approach is the right approach for young people. And Jasmine here at the centre of the Venn diagram, it's all about her. It's about giving her the most positive experience of physical activity that we can. But we understand that it's a three-way relationship. So we come into schools and we have our programmes called Real PE, Real Gym. Very recently now out in the schools is Real Foundations, and we have Real Dance very soon on its way. So we'll work with teachers, and we often work with their classes with them to help teachers understand how to use the Real programmes to the best of their ability. We also understand that Jasmine needs the same message through home. So we have our at-home programme, which was available to all Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 children during lockdown. So the same messages were still available and resources for families at home. And we have our Real Play programme, which is an intervention programme and all about schools being able to work with families so that they can play and learn together. We're currently developing our Key Stage 2 at-home resource, so that if we have any children that are isolated or we have further developments with lockdowns, Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 children will continue to be supported with home learning. And then finally, if we get our physical education message and our methods right in school, Jasmine is going to want to go out into the community, take part in sports specific activities, and so we very much need her to receive still the same messages. We don't want her to be put off or to find that she's lost interest. So we have our real coaching programme, and we work with the national governing bodies of sports to work with their coaches to make sure Jasmine is still supported all the way through. So that's our why, and Sarah now is going to take us through the what and how.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. That was a really great introduction, and I think sets the scene really nicely for the rest of our session. So we're going to link as well quite carefully to the quality of education. So looking at high quality teaching and learning and the 3 I's. And again, this is not something we changed when the 3 I's in the Ofsted framework came in, but it's just exactly the same as we have always done. It's just kind of formalising it. So we're going to look at the intent of learning, which has always been for us through the physical. So everything we do is teach through the physical. So the agility, balance and coordination. And then through the holistic approach, using these cogs to develop Jasmine or the whole child through the activities. So this is where we really see it as being physical education. So that it's all taught through the physical, ABCs, non-traditional games. And the education part is the cogs and the holistic learning. And then how we do it, the implementation, we have Jasmine, which is our online learning platform, which we're going to be showing you as well today. And that shows us the activities we're going to do and how we will deliver this intent to our children. And then the going deeper in the how you deliver individually is through learning nutrition framework. And then finally, looking at the impact, and we have a really nice assessment wheel, which is an online platform, again, linking from Jasmine, which you can measure the progress of your children. But of course, we can only actually measure the impact if we know what the intent is in the first place. So that's what we're really going to have a look at today, is the intent of learning, where children are now, where possibly their skills are faded, and equally where we want them to get to during this next year with us. So, you know, we understand we have challenges this year, but we still want the children to progress, and we still want to measure that progress and see where they get to. So that's what we're going to be looking at. So our first intent of learning is we have these 2 areas, like I said, the ABCs for fundamental movement and the cogs for learning behaviours. So we're going to look at the learning behaviours first and then the physical part second. And how we're going to do this to start with is we're going to play a little game together. So although Kate let you turn off all your cameras earlier, hopefully you'll be able to turn them back on now and we can have a little go at this game. It's very simple, so please be reassured it's very super simple. And it's just a game so that we can really show some of the intent of learning and the way we work, the philosophy really, with Real P and how that can link to your recovery curriculum. So if you'd like to turn your cameras on, well, I'm just going to go into Jasmine and find this for you. Can show you Jasmine as well. So here's Jasmine, and we're in Real Gym actually. We're in Year 3, Unit 1, Lesson 1. So we're looking at a Year 3 piece of work, and we're looking at Dice Frenzy, which is actually a skill application game. And we always have an image for it and all of the rules below. And then how to make the game tricky, trickier, or trickiest. So you can adapt and change this for your children, make it as easy as you want or a bit more complex. And this game particularly comes in the 3rd part of the lesson in the skill application. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a quick look up here at our learning goals for the lesson. So our learning intent. And this is going to be today around our personal skills. So knowing where I am in my learning, trying several times, so keep trying even if it gets a bit tricky. And then finally, some of us will persevere and improve with regular practice. So I think, Kate, you've got a special mentions board there, haven't you?
I have, Sarah.
I can't see it very well, so you'll have to shout out what's on it.
I have, and I've already got 2 names on it.
Oh, fab. What have you got?
So James was straight camera on, ready to learn. That was fantastic.
James.
And Olivia took that lead, and she's here ready to take a risk.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys, because it's a bit tricky at this point because I can't actually see you, but Kate can see you, so she's feeding back. So that's really good. Thank you for joining in. So just push your chair back a little bit so you're safe. Have a little safe space. We're not going to go mad. You just need a little bit of space. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look at the instructions for the game. So Kate on her special mentions board, which we'll use for praising, which she's already started, is also going to write the numbers 1 to 6. You got them down,
Yeah.
Kate? Brilliant.
Yeah, already.
And then we're going to play as one group. So in our team, we've written down the numbers 1 to 6. Got that? Regular dice. We're going to roll the dice, and then we're going to make a balanced shape with that number of body parts touching the floor or the chair or your table or your wall, whatever you've got near you. And we'll hold it for 3 elephants. So if we roll a 3, we make a balance with 3 body parts touching, hold the balance. Kate crosses off number 3, and we keep going. If number 3 comes up again, we have to do it again, but we can't cross it off because we've already got it crossed off. So it's like bingo. We need to cross them all off as quickly as we can. And if we were in class, we might play collaboratively all together to start with to understand the game. Then we might start playing in small groups against each other. So we're all going to play together.
Sarah,
Right.
James is going to do it sitting because he hasn't got much room behind him.
No problem at all, because I'm going to just make my screen a bit of a different size. Aha, there we go. So I can see you guys as well. I can see Rob there concentrating. Fab. Right, I'm going to put you over here. So can you see the dice, everybody?
Yes.
Fantastic. And I can see all of you now, so we can join in. Fantastic. So are you ready? I'm going to get up and play. Kate's ready. James is going to play like this on. You got to make nice shapes, James, on your chair. Are you ready? Oh, Dan's doing it already. Number 6. Oh my goodness, tricky one to start with. 6 body parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everyone's disappeared under the camera. Great, cross it off, Kate. Cross it off.
Yeah,
Kate,
done.
You've got to give us some praise there for imagination, and James for adapting. 1.
Yeah.
1 body part. I've stuck my bottom to the wall, actually to the radiator because it's warm.
Oh, well done, Olivia's supporting
6.
herself as well. Oh, another 6.
That's it. Got that one. That's a bit
6.
tricky, that one. 6. And this time we've got 3. 1, 2, 3. Yes.
Lots of different body parts going on. That's fantastic.
I'm loving the adapting as well. And Dan gets sorry,
Another
Rob.
3.
Rob is looking super keen and energetic there, so he should get some praise for that. Jill keeps oh no, not another 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I'm
yes.
balancing on chairs, tables, walls, all sorts.
4.
Special mention.
1, 2,
4.
3, 4.
We need 5 and 2. 5
Let's
and
see if
2.
the dice will be kind. 4.
Oh.
What do you do 4? I'll speed them up a bit. 4. 5. Yes.
5. Yes.
Oh,
got that one. James, did you just do 5 fingers? 3.
Impressed in balance on
1, 2,
5
3.
fingers.
What do we need,
come on,
Kate?
number 2, and number 2.
Come on, 2. Come on, 2. Oh, 1.
Oh, I like
Come
the
on,
different
2.
shapes.
5.
2, 3,
2, 3,
5
4, 5.
again.
4.
Lots
6.
of resilience.
2.
Yay!
Hooray! Well done. Kate, what have you got on your board then for praise?
Oh, gosh, loads. So Rob, his imagination and energy and sharing his ideas with the others.
Yeah.
Yeah, and James was sharing as well and encouraging everybody else. And Olivia, real resilience. Every time we rolled the same number, she was always doing the action despite knowing she'd done the number before.
Well, she kept disappearing under her camera really fast, so I'm taking it she was super quick doing that. Right, so what I'd like you to do now is just jot down in the chat bar, open up your chat bar again, and then could you jot in the chat bar something you liked about the way that activity was delivered, or something you like about that activity? Just jot in there quickly, and then Kate will read them back to me. I'll go back to a full screen, I think, Kate, so that...
So Rob liked the pace of the activity.
Fab, yeah. Pace is really important, isn't it? Because we want to repeat things, but we want to be quick enough so we don't get bored and we continue having fun.
Excellent. And James has said, yeah, pace again and easily used indoor, even in the classroom at desks and things.
Yeah, yeah.
And Olivia, it's really inclusive.
Fab. Yeah, great. So if you can see how actually on inclusive, actually, even if you had a child in a wheelchair or with a broken leg or something, they can still join in. Like James was adapting, he could still join in. And also we have, as part of Real P, some physical dice as well. So with things, especially with Real Gym, we have some actual physical dice that you can use and take in the playground, and you have a little dice matrix to match up the number to the action and things. So it also doesn't rely just solely on Jasmine, but on some physical resources or printing out resources as well. So that's really great.
And Gill really liked the fact that we had choice, and that was something that was raised this morning, that young people like to have choice over the activities they participate in.
Really, so that children have ownership, so that therefore they stay engaged with the activities. Right, so the second question is then, what kind of skills and attributes did we learn, or would children learn through that kind of game? So again, just jot them down as quickly as you can. What kind of skills or personal attributes would they learn through that kind of activity? So thinking of that physical education and into the education side, what are we learning through that kind of game, or what could be developed? Have we got anything yet, Kate?
Yep, so Rob is saying that they'd be practicing and developing their balance skills.
Yep.
And Olivia's got core strength.
Okay, yeah.
Rob, decision making.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Which way to make our shape, how fast to go, when to cross it off. Anything else, Kate, for you?
We've got coordination.
Yeah, yeah.
Trying and to then we got 6 body parts.
Yeah, yeah, 6 fingers on the table. But we also thought about, if you think about what you got praised for, what were the praise things again, Kate? You had energy and motivation, didn't you? Ideas,
sharing resilience. Ideas, adapting ideas, creating new balances for the same number of body parts.
Trying really hard, even if it didn't go right the first time, keep persevering through the activity. So all of those things. Others. Yeah. Real. So with that in mind, we're going to go into our next little task here, which isn't a physical one, so don't panic. So what we're going to talk about is this idea of using PE to support the recovery curriculum. And actually, what are the skills that children need right now in order to be ready to learn again? So what are those skills and attributes that children need to learn again? So if you could start jotting them in the chat bar as we're talking, that would be great. Anything that comes to mind. So for example, we're thinking of when children enter the classroom or they enter the hall, what is it they need to have in themselves before we can even start thinking about joining in with this game, for example? What is it we need to have? What are those first building blocks that we need to have in place?
So James has put in social skills. I wonder if James could elaborate on that a little bit. Perhaps what are you seeing at the moment that's making that tricky?
Feel free to turn your mic on, James.
Yes, so we've found especially those year groups which didn't come back in the summer term. So our year 3s and 4s mainly, they've really struggled with the social adaptation coming back into the classroom.
What, with so many people there, you mean? Like
so many people there, but also we had lots of those who didn't engage very much in the home learning, so that they're getting back into routine. So they obviously want to socialise, but it's knowing how and when to do that appropriately. And that goes outside. It can cause arguments and a lot of friction at the moment.
Yeah. So that's something we're going to look at now in this next part, really. So what I'd like you to do is thinking, like you just said, James, about social skills, for example, or about understanding structure, so personal resilience and kind of maybe self-control and motivation, understanding the structure of the day, all those kind of things. What I'd like to do is pick out, both of you or everybody in the group here, pick out, we're going to use, we're not going to do the whole pyramid because we haven't got time, but just the top 3 words that would go at the top of your pyramid here, which are the skills and attributes which children need to start learning again. So from this page here of words, to pick out what would be your top 3. And I know we could argue that all of them are important, but what would be your top 3 that are the most important ones to get in place so that we can build the other things up as well? So once you've got your top 3, if you could just write them in the chat again, that would be excellent. So the top 3 that your children need in order to get ready for learning again. So James said social, maybe there's something more specific in there.
Olivia, just before you introduced the pyramid, had said self-confidence is really important.
She was ahead of me, and it's up there, Olivia, in the top left.
Yeah.
So that's your top one, probably. And then what's going to be number 2 and 3? So that's a green coloured skill.
We've got communication.
Yeah, so that's a red one. And
we've got desire.
Yeah, that's a green.
Organise.
Yeah, that'd be we haven't actually got organise. Oh,
yeah,
organise is red. Yeah, like organising
and
others.
Independent learner.
Great, a green. So we do this activity quite often with different groups of people, and maybe change the question slightly, but today, because it's obviously pertinent to be around the recovery curriculum, and everybody we do it with, we always get, whether it's national governing bodies, whether it's coaches, whether it's head teachers, whether it's teachers, PE leads in schools, we always get a very similar response, exactly to how you guys have just done, and it generally looks something like this. And this is what we had, wasn't it? So maybe a little bit of a different order, but we still had self-confidence up there, desire and passion, communication came out. So these ones, generally with greens near the top, reds kind of coming in second, and then a kind of a rainbow of colours between the others. And so this is very usual, the response you guys just said about self-confidence, desire and passion, independent learner. So they're all greens at the top. Communicating, organising on the second row with the reds. So these are not just colours for us. These link to these cogs, which is it's a cog theory. You can look it up. And it's basically saying that if one cog spins faster, so earlier we got praise in the personal area for persevering with our activity, that if we get praise, for example, and we focus our learning in one area, that will then spin faster, and hence the other cogs will start to spin faster as well. So by praising and working on the intent of our learning being around that personal, then suddenly our physical skills have actually developed and improved because we're enjoying the lesson, we're getting praise for it, and we've got a specific focus for it. And these cogs work the same in reverse, that if one cog breaks down, then all the other ones break down. So for example, if I'm not off to my friend's wedding at the weekend because of shutdown, but if I was going off to my friend's wedding at the weekend, I'd be very social all day, chatting to all my friends, and then I might make a decision. So cognitively, not probably a very good decision, possibly to drink a bit too much. But what happens though is my creative skills for dancing really improve suddenly. So that cog's spinning faster and faster. Perhaps my physical skills are getting better, apart from when I fall over at the end of the night. So you can see how they start to all interact together, just as a silly example, really. But you can see
adult example, I think.
Adult example, yeah. And you can see how they work together, and it's that idea of them working and interacting together with one part. So the other thing we've just said is, on a PE conference day, and talking about PE in this recovery curriculum, we've just identified that the most important skills and attributes are the green ones, which are personal skills. So we've just said, hang on a second, actually to develop PE and develop the children ready to be learners, that personal skills followed by social are the most important areas and the ones that we should work on the most with our children. So taking it another step from there, we've not just got these as words. So sometimes we might hear that we have a word in school like perseverance, which would come under personal. And that's great. And all the children walking around saying, I'm working on my perseverance. But we've gone to that next step and have a learning journey that sits behind that. So, for example, to actually get to perseverance and keep trying up here, we need to start with working on simple tasks with help, then building it up to following simple tasks with on my own, trying several times, asking for help when I need it, know where I am in my learning, start to challenge myself into I can react well, even when things become difficult. I can persevere with a task, but they can only persevere with it if they know what it was in the first place. So we've got this whole learning journey right up to creating my own learning plan under personal, and we have the same for each of the cogs. They have a learning journey that sits behind them. So it might be that you could even think now of some of your children in your classes and think about where they are on this journey now. Possibly you can think about where they were in March, and have they faded a little bit, some of those skills, like James was saying, so especially the social skills one, that perhaps some of these skills have faded back slightly. So now where are they? Where would we like to get them in the next year? And how are we going to bridge that gap? And what intervention using PE can we put into that gap to really help develop those skills to help support the children? So for example, this is Tembi. Sounds like Tembi's at your school, James, actually, because her social skill is really good back in March. She loved being part of a team, social butterfly. Physical skills not quite so good, but she loved being a leader. So they worked well and she practiced them more. Unfortunately, over the summer, this has happened and her social skills have faded a bit. She's lost a bit of confidence to guide the group and to share her ideas. And they've started arguing a bit as well because they're not used to that. Maybe she comes from a one-child household, so she's not so used to sharing with others. So we want to build her back up now that that's where we can identify where she is. And we want to build her on that journey over the next few months. We've also got Andrew, who previously would never give up on a challenge. He really enjoyed it. He loves it. Sometimes he can be a bit negative with others. So we have to work on his social skills. He says things a bit bluntly. So we have to work on that. But his personal skills are very strong. But unfortunately, this has happened and his personal skills have faded back a bit. And he doesn't like to be seen as failing. And he's not enjoying change so much at the moment. So we need to identify, now we've identified it, we can start again to look at where do we want him to get to and what we can do in the meanwhile. So, Kate, have you got anything to add to that bit?
I think it's just incredibly useful, isn't it, to have the incremental steps through the learning journey. And primary staff are so fantastic at knowing every child in their class that they could even get a whiteboard pen and mark on the poster where they see their children are, and then have a look at the next tiny step to encourage the children in those learning behaviours, to look for the next steps from the children, and also that personalised approach that it's a conversation that you could even have with the child and in it that the children see it in themselves as well.
Yeah, I think the actual journey is very important, like you said, and we quite often we can put post-it notes on or pegs on or whatever we want to be able to mark where they are and to move forwards. Yeah, okay, brilliant. So from there, hopefully that gives you an idea of how we can look at this learning behaviours and where they are, where we'd like to get to with them, even though there might have been some fade here, but actually, so where are they right now? Because now we have to deal with the child in front of us. Where can we get to and how would we like to plug that gap? Excuse me. And we'll look at the other half of our learning intent, which is all around obviously the physical. So like we demonstrated earlier, doing these games, getting praise and a focus on the personal, but through the physical activities. So we do that through FUNS, which is fundamental movements for the physical side. And it's all around the ABCs. So it's non-traditional games and sports, collaborative activities, thematic activities for EYFS and Key Stage 1, Year 2 collaborative games and activities like we just played, something similar to Dice Frenzy or Giant Rock, Paper, Scissors or something like that. Year 3 and 4 focused all on personal best, and Year 5 and 6 looking at non-traditional games and sports. So things like Kabaddi, which is in essence kind of an invasion game type approach, or something like Shape Up, which is around dance and sequencing, or something like seated volleyball, which is actually a Paralympic sport. Kate, did you want to say something about that? Because I think, wasn't there reference this morning to like non-traditional?
Yeah, so I think concern and worry for people about guidance and advice at the moment, whether should we be playing football, should be, and Sue Wilkinson, Gill, obviously by all means come in because you were listening to, that, you know, we want to teach the skills and we want the skill acquisition and the creative skills and the thinking critically skills. We want those to come through, but using fundamental movements, skills and activities as the vehicle to do that.
And of course, we know how important it is as well to build up like the core strength so that children can sit properly at a desk. I know some of the schools I was talking to in September were saying children just haven't got stamina to get through the day at the moment, just to sit at a desk all day and to get up now and again. So actually these core fundamental movement skills just being so important to help children to learn, as well as remembering those cogs that we spoke about a few minutes ago.
And I think, Sarah, one of the things this morning was that if we're going to teach a skill-based curriculum is to keep it engaging and motivational and fun rather than drill. And you know, some of the statistics that came from Sport England were around, you know, schools are wanting to teach a skill-based curriculum, but the children might find that sort of a bit dull, a bit boring. So we want to try and keep it light-hearted and fun, and with reward and challenge and all of those things.
Yeah. So we've got 12 fundamental movement skills, roughly broken into 4 for agility, 4 for balance, and 4 for coordination. You can see them there. So we're going to have a quick look at the first one, actually, and then we're going to link it into a skill application. So we always have a warm-up, a skill application and review. So like Gill just said, it's around a skill-based approach, but it is then applying it in a very fun and age-appropriate way. So we're going to have a quick look now. Go back to Jasmine. You see my screen, Gill? Is it okay?
Yep, it's all good.
Good. And we've got all the programs down here that we can access. I'm going to go into Real PE. Going to have a look at year 1. And you can see these golden threads of these cogs running all the way through the whole curriculum map. And then here's our fundamental movement. And we're going to look at one leg balance. So for this age group, we would normally be dealing in themes because that's age appropriate and fun for them and enjoyable. And we'd normally be being pirates, a bit like Poldark down in Cornwall. I love Poldark. But we're looking at pirates. I can't help. And here is the skill part of the lesson. So we have a skill continuum here, which is colours based. And you can see how we would be balancing on one leg. Try and look at his shoulders, bless him. He's trying so hard. And his face. That's a real thinking face, isn't it? So skill-based, videos that run all the way through and play on a loop, developing into the next level of skill. So just working on this fundamental skill of balance. And then going into some squats, for example, like this. But because we're in year 1, we've got a storybook. So we can take it into a theme, which was our pirate theme. Aye, aye, Captain.
You have to work on that accent, Sarah.
Yeah.
And we can play Poppin' Pirates. And then here we are. Here are the balances, but within the theme. So if you'd like to have a go, please join me. I will have a go anyway. So I'm going to be Captain Pete and pretending to stand on one leg like a pirate. So I'm balanced on one leg like a pirate. My pirate friend over there, Kate, might be checking to see if I can stay on one leg and if my head's staying up and I'm staying balanced. And then we'll swap over and have a go on the other side. And then, oh, duck out of the way of the cannonballs. So Kate, make your balance again. Stay still, and I'm going to throw the cannonball, and I'd like you to duck. Are you ready?
I am.
Boom! Duck,
Ooh.
Kate, duck. Boom! Boom! And to the right. Boom! And to the left. Boom! Well done. I go. I'm going to stay on my balance. Ready?
Boom! Oh, well done, Sarah. Boom! Anticipating which way I'm going. Boom!
Brilliant.
Fantastic.
Oh, my leg's aching now. So all about practicing those skills, but just making them really fun, energetic, and appropriate to the age group. And then if we have a little look up here, 5 and 6, again, you can see those cogs are running through. So we're still going to help develop the children against that learning intent and looking for the gaps and filling in the gaps with the children. And this time we have one leg balance. There's a few things different on this page. So if you can have a quick look, there's 3 things that are different on this page to the previous page. So if you've got them, just jot them down for us so we know you're there. What things are different on that page to the previous page? What do you think, Kate?
Oh, Olivia is coming in with an answer.
Writing.
Yeah.
And then you can see the next progression there. And while we're just waiting, I'll take you up to a pink progression. It's so funny seeing some of these kids because we refilmed these a couple of years ago, and these are some gymnasts I work with.
Mm-hmm.
And they look so young here. They were like year 6 here. You can see how her leg's working really hard to control that balance. It's going, look at that knee going. And then if we go up to the black, And we can see it moving around a bit more and really challenging our balance. So what do you think then? What are the differences? Have we got anything down?
Olivia, I think Olivia went shy. She wasn't quite sure.
You could just shout
I bet
them
you're
out,
right,
couldn't we?
Olivia. Yeah, do you want to put your mic, turn your mics off and call out what was different?
So one of the things you can see is clearly we haven't got the storybook anymore. So we've lost the storybook because in an age appropriate approach, storybook's probably not so good for year 5 and 6. So we're going to do different kinds of activities. One of the other things is we've got the whole continuum now. So we've got more skills to practice. And of course, it actually landed on the red to start with. So it landed there because we think that's okay for that age group, but equally you can go backwards or forwards in their learning and differentiate it to the children you've got, the age group you've got. So we're going to use this one leg balance, but we're going to put it into a skill application. And we're going to have another quick go. So if you're okay to put your mic on again, that would, and your camera on, that would be fantastic. And the activity that's coming, we're going to focus on social skills. So if you remember, James said earlier on, social skills have taken a bit of a battering over the summer. So we really need to work on these through some really targeted activities. So we're going to work on, let's look at cooperating well with others. So we really need to do that, cooperating well with others, negotiating, and also giving and receiving some sensitive feedback. So every time we demonstrate one of those skills, Kate's going to be on it with her pen and a special mentions board, and she's going to be writing those names up. And I don't know what it is at your school, but at my school, it's definitely if we get 3 names on the board, we get an extra minute of golden time for Friday afternoon. So Gill, you up for that, an extra minute of golden time?
I'd like a bit more golden time.
Yes, so would I. So we'll see if we can get our names on the board and get an extra minute of golden time. Or it could be whatever it is at your school, whether it's marbles in the jar or little head teacher certificates or, you know, whatever it is, just an idea. So, but very specifically around cooperating with others, giving and receiving sensitive feedback and negotiating. So, and here comes our activity. We're going to a warm up and we're going to play Shape Up. So we're going to have the World Championships of Shape Up this afternoon, sorry. There's a video if you want to watch the video to explain the activity either to your class or for yourself in your planning first. And then we have the activity here in stages that we can run through with our class at the pace that they are working at, that they need to work at. So we're going to have a go. So if you're okay to put your cameras on again and stand up, that would be brilliant. Everyone's still there, fantastic. Or James, you can do it on your chair, not a problem. If you haven't got much room, not a problem. I've gone for Cornish flip-flops this afternoon, so have to be careful. So what we're going to do is we're going to count to 8. We're going to be moving on the spot. Every time we get to an 8, we're going to make a shape, which is a sporting shape. So we could do something like golf or swimming or gymnastics or just whatever is your favourite shape. Everybody ready? Give us a thumbs up if you're ready. Brilliant. Thanks, Olivia and James. Brilliant. Right, so off we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Make a shape. 8. Gone for Mo Farah 1. Fantastic. Let's go again. 1, 2. That was a basketball. 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, tennis, Olivia.
Oh, yes. Same as me.
And one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, basketball. That Olivia's gone for basketball. James, what have you gone for? What's that?
It's meant to be shot put.
Shot put. Ah, right. And I've gone for swimming.
Me
Fantastic. So we've been changing the shapes as we move around. Now we're going to choose your favourite shape. So if everyone can just choose your favourite one, whichever one you'd like to do. Oh, Olivia's gone for tennis. Fantastic. Basketball. Brilliant. And then what we're going to do is we are going to teach our shapes to everybody else in the group. So James, would you be all right to put your mic on and explain your shape to us?
Okay, so with my shape, you raise your right hand with the palm facing upwards.
Yeah.
And then your left hand you put to the side of that.
Oh, good.
What are we doing? Basketball?
Basketball.
Basketball. Brilliant. Okay, how do you want us to stand or have our legs or?
If you put your It's hard to think. Well, I'm sitting down.
Left foot.
How would I stand? So put your left leg backwards at a 90-degree angle and your right foot slightly forwards, pointing it forwards.
Brilliant. Okay, so right arm up at the side, left arm there. Yeah, that
And
looks good.
A little flex in your knees as well.
Thanks. Would you like to give any lovely cooperation with everybody there, James? So you definitely got your name on the board.
Yeah.
Would you like to give anybody some sensitive feedback or some praise at how they're doing?
Well,
just go for praise,
it's quite
James.
small
Just
on my
go for
screen.
praise.
That's all. Sorry. Everybody's just fantastic. Really good shapes and lots of lovely smiles as well.
Fab. That's what we thought you said. That's what we thought you said. Olivia, what's your favourite shape?
It's tennis. So
Fab.
you put your left foot forward and have them about shoulder width apart, facing towards the side, and put your right hand back and up into the air slightly, and your weight more on your right foot.
Okay,
Ooh,
that's
brilliant instructions. Yeah.
Very clear instructions, Olivia. That's excellent. Fab. So now if we go and we put them together, so we've got basketball, 1, tennis, 2, and then I'm going to go for my swimming, 3. So breaststroke, and we're going to do it on one leg. So as if you're going like this for breaststroke and you're on one leg. So now you can choose, remember that one leg balance we were practicing earlier? You can choose the hardest version for you. So either maybe just balancing on it, or you could go for a squat if you want, if that was your hardest version, or you could go for up onto the ball of your foot and balance. So whichever's the hardest one for you to challenge you individually within the activity. All right, so I'm going for a squat like that and a bit of a swim. So we've got 3 shapes now. What's the first one, James? Basketball. So James, I'm looking for your arms, yeah? 1, tennis, 2 for Olivia, swimming one leg for me. And then Gill, what's your shape?
Well, mine was swimming as well. So you might want to choose Kate. What was Kate's?
I was getting ready for a rugby penalty kick.
So like that. Okay, in like that. So we're going to put them together. And then I'm going to jump on a couple of stages because I can see that my group today is like top of the class. We are super duper, really understanding everything. So we're going to perform with the music.
Ooh.
All right. So we'll have a little practice. We had basketball, tennis, swimming, one leg, and rugby. All right. And we'll go through them. So let's have a go with the music. We'll hold each one for 4 and see if we can do it. Can you hear it?
Yep.
Yeah, so the music's embedded just up here. So ready? See how fast I can remember to go. What's the first one? Basketball. So hold each one for 4. Go basketball. Tennis. Swim. Rugby. Back to the beginning. Basketball. Rugby. We'll do it once more, see if we've got it. Rugby. Brilliant. Well done. Fabulous work so far.
Very good.
One more little challenge if you're up for it. So we could either do, and you guys can pick, we could either do complex canon, which is where we all start at different times. We start on a different move, or a couple of us could try and go different speeds. So we go double time. Olivia, what do you think we should go for?
You're on mute.
You're on mute, Olivia.
Sorry, I nearly dropped my laptop on the floor. I was trying to move it
Don't
like
that.
completely.
Should we go for either double time or complex canon? What do you reckon?
Double time.
Canon. Oh.
No,
Okay.
double time, Jill. That's the good, Olivia. Olivia, that's brilliant choice. Well done. Brilliant choice. So if you feel like up for the challenge, you can go double speed. So same actions in the same order, but twice as fast. Or as part of the same group, because it will make a nice contrast, you can just stay at the same speed, carefully making the shapes. Okay, so you make an individual choice, which one you're going to go for. And then the people that are doing it normal speed we did before will do it just twice. But anybody that's going twice as fast will have to do it 4 times. Right? Does that make some sense?
Yeah.
What are you going for, James? What's your choice?
I'm going to go for double speed.
Oh, go for it. Olivia, what are you going for? Normal speed or double speed?
Double speed.
Oh, fantastic. Gill, are you going to go for single speed?
I'm going to stay at single, but I might, if I feel confident, I might change in the middle.
I think we'll allow that. Right. This is where I mess up. I'm going to go single speed. Are you ready? Go. Wait. Olivia's off. She's got it. Well done, Olivia. Ready, go. Ah!
Brilliant. Look at that. Fantastic.
I'm so bad at that.
Really good, really good, really good. So hopefully you can see, not only is Olivia smiling and laughing quite a lot, probably with her colleague at the moment, but that's important to have fun, isn't it, Olivia? Very important. James, did you enjoy that? Yeah, great. So, and then what we can see is if Kate, if we come back to our learning objectives from earlier on, and we were talking about cooperating well. Well, I think we've all got loads of names on the board for that. And giving and receiving sensitive feedback. I think we've got loads of names up on the board for that because we were giving and receiving all of that feedback throughout the activity. Kate, what did you have lots of names on your board?
I have. I reckon we've got at least 10 minutes of golden time. Woo! On a Friday afternoon. So Gill, I thought, did a really good self-reflection and then challenged herself, took a risk and challenged herself to go double time and did really well.
I had to write a list down of the order because I couldn't do the tasking.
It was very good. And Olivia, fantastic, clear instructions to the rest of us to understand.
Really good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I must say, I thought that James and myself in particular were very good at listening back to those instructions, because I know that James and I sometimes mess around a bit and don't always listen to the instructions fully, and we're so keen to get going, we're off and gone, but we forgot to listen. So I think we get a little bit of extra golden time as well, James, for listening so well to Olivia. Don't you agree?
I think as well, Sarah, isn't it, that activity, when we're talking about children and the gap in the social skills and sharing ideas and collaborating once again after lockdown, that sometimes we put children in group work ideas, but they can be quite crafty and get rid of each other's ideas that they're not quite so keen on. And the order and the sequence of this activity is that everybody's idea is valued and kept. And that's really important when we're going to be encouraging those social skills to, share our ideas, and our idea is valued by the others because it's kept in the sequence.
Yeah, and especially when you then get to look at the review methods, some of the review methods we have. So the one for this is actually roles on the bus. So you'd have a bus, for example, the idea of a bus, and it's who is the engine, who gave the energy to the activity today. So that might have been James giving us loads of smiles and thumbs up and like, yeah, come on, we can do this. And then Olivia was giving us very clear directions. So she might be the indicators on the bus, showing us which way we need to go next. And she really understood it, how to make it come to life. And then maybe Gill was the wing mirror, because she was being very reflective, thinking I'll do this once more at this speed so I feel comfortable, then I might edge it up, but I'll wait and see because I'm reflecting, I'm looking at the rest of the group, I'm making it work. And with that kind of activity, we could start with the review method, think about which role do we want to take in the activity, do the activity, as we're halfway through, reflect. Actually, did we stay in that role? Are we still listening to each other? Are we still having energy with the whole rest of the group? Are we still thinking about how we talk to each other? And then move it on through the rest of the lesson. So it really does start to reflect back on this idea of we need to know where the children are, we need to know where they want to get to, so that we can make a plan and put some valuable activities and interventions very well placed into that gap to help the children practice those skills so that they can show us they can do it, and we give them a gentle lift in the right direction. Kate, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I just think it's Real PE was always very cleverly developed and written to ensure the activities set the children up to succeed in those learning behaviours and those learning goals from the set off, the go-to of the lesson. And as staff, we can support those young people with those resources to do that really well.
I think so as well. Right, so just the last little bit, and because we did start a few minutes late, if it's okay with you both, because I know your next session is at 15:15, but we've still got a few minutes. If we just do the last few slides, you'll still have time to transfer between, if that's okay. Hopefully they're giving you a thumbs up, Kate. I'm hoping.
Can I just check?
Good.
Rob, there's people in the lobby, I'm assuming they're for the next session. So we won't let them in yet.
No, don't let them in. Right, so we just wanted to touch on as well home learning. So during lockdown, like Kate mentioned earlier, we'd had real PE at home. We've got real PE for Key Stage 1 and EYFS. We've also got real PE at home for Key Stage 2. And both of these link exactly to and help embed real PE for using through the day with your classes and develop the children, identifying those gaps, focusing on them and helping them to develop. But of course, this is home logins, which means they can do it at home with their families, play games together, and also be directed by the school as to, you know, if they're in isolation, for example, well, we're going to be doing one leg balance for the next week at school or the next 2 weeks. So we'd really like you to focus on the pirate adventure, or we'd like you to focus on the one leg balance and the activities that go with that, so that the children at home are getting the same continuous provision as the ones at school, but just at home. And we also have some packages of physical bundles of resources, because we know not everybody loves being on screens all the time. Some people like physical resources and board games, physical board games, things like that, which again, just to help connect the families together with their children for that health and well-being, the connectivity, the taking time to notice, the learning of new activity, practicing a physical skill, all those elements of mental well-being, but through and linking to PE and embedding PE at home. So it's that real continuous, in that Venn diagram we had at the beginning, real continuous provision across the two. Kate, do you want to add anything in there?
No, I think Olivia, obviously are you early years teacher, Olivia, or are you the PE coordinator across the school as well?
So I'm PE coordinator and early years lead.
Cool. So I mean, you know, after today, we'd always be available if you'd like us to sort of more specifically have a look at the Real Foundations programme with you, which is all theme and story led based and very much supports if perhaps your PE model in your early years at the moment is not a prescribed 2 hours a week of PE, then Real Foundations can really encourage physical development through themes and the whole curriculum. Yeah. So I'd be very happy to meet over Teams again if you'd like to look at that in more detail for you.
Oh, that'd be great, thank you.
And of course, exactly the same with you, James. Not only an offer for Olivia, but also for you, James.
Yeah, sure.
That we've got Real PE into subject leader training, and then into maybe even Real Legacy, which is a 2-year planned programme of work, which is very bespoke to each school. It's also an excellent way to extend your PE and sports premium. So with your spend this year, you could actually have bought into a 2-year plan, which will make it last into the future. So you've got another 2 years of CPD for your staff, and that sustainable approach. And it also includes all these elements that are at the bottom here. So Real Gym, Real Play, Real Foundations, Real Dance, Real Leaders for leadership skills for year 5 and 6. So that's just to give you a bit more of an overview, really, and some of the options that are available to you. And of course, lastly, it's just to contact your membership manager, which in this case is Kate in Cornwall. Gill, as we said, is our regional director. So her email is exactly the same, but with GC at the front. So Gill at the front, and then GC for Gill, and then Create Development or KC for Kate at the front. So you can make contact with us. And we've also got, Gill, have you got our feedback form there?
I'm just putting it in the chat now, and I've put in some links to the sample lesson plans on Jasmine if you want to have a look at those as well. And James is already asking how we can access the logins and information. So we've just agreed to catch up to talk about how he can upgrade his membership, because he's already a Real PE school.
Real, yeah. So hopefully you've seen something new today, James, that you haven't seen previously, and it's come to life for you again. Just remembering some of those key points. Unless you guys have any questions, Kate, Olivia and James, you got any questions for us? Jill, I can't see.
Yeah, Jill's on the chat answering those.
Sorry.
Okay, that's perfect.
I was just after Kate's email, that was all.
Yeah, just popped it in the chat for you.
Yeah, it's just popped out.
It's there. Fantastic. Right, well, I'd just really like to say thank you so much for both of you joining in today. Because obviously sessions are only generally as good as the people that come to them, and if you're willing to join in, it makes it fantastic for us. So thank you so much for joining in, because it's really made it come to life on the screen, so that we could really work through that recovery curriculum and also how it links to PE. That's brilliant. So thank you for that, guys.
Yeah, lovely to meet you, James and Olivia, and hope to see you soon.
Yeah, we'll be in touch, Kate. Thank you.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Take care. Do get in touch, Olivia.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Bye, guys.